Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Tutorial Wednesdays, now on Thursday, thanks to Sony. Seriously though, I've been wanting to do this video on Patchbay forever, and it is finally here. As you guys know, I did that massive unboxing of Hosa cable there a couple days ago, and I got this wonderful Patchbay from Redco Audio. It's a 96-point TT type Patchbay, meaning it takes these little guys, and these came out of the original phone switchboards and whatnot, and they're a great way to get a lot of connectors into a very small space. To put it as bluntly as I can, the whole point of a Patchbay is to bring all your connections from the back of your rack units to the front where you can access them easily. Do you need a Patchbay? Well, if you've got a degree in piano, probably not, because you already know everything. Also, if you have a small desktop-based interface, chances are probably not. 2 to 4 channels, you can probably already get to those inputs, and that's fine. But when you start getting into the bigger interfaces, you start adding 8 or 16 inputs and have a couple of nice pieces of outboard gear that you want to record with, a Patchbay makes a lot of sense. For the longest time, I didn't have a Patchbay, and I found myself always reaching behind my racks to hook up my direct box, because I've got one favorite channel, and that's my Great River MP to NV with my distressor. So I'd use that for recording drums, guitars, you name it, and I was always patching stuff in and out. Having a Patchbay just saves a whole lot of grief because it's right there, it's easy to access, and you can plug stuff in. So, as I said, I've got the 96-point Redco Audio Patchbay, and what that means, it has 48 ins and 48 outs. And on the back, it uses these DB25 connectors. So it will get 8 connectors into one of these. The whole idea is just to make everything nice and clean. Now, how I have this laid out is my rack mount outputs are at the top and the inputs are at the bottom because the signal flows top to bottom. So A1 to A8 here are my microphones out in my drum room, and these are my mic preamps, Great River, 2 channels here, 4 channels of API, and 2 Focusrite Reds. And in the next bank here, there's all those same channels with the outputs, and those are running into, one's running into a distressor, the other is into my Stam Audio SA2A compressor. A couple of clean inputs to my RME, that's RME 3 to 6. And I've got SSL left and right. What that is an IGS SSL type bus compressor, which is freaking amazing. Expect a review on that sometime soon. And in the third bank over here, I've got microphone 9 and 10 from my A bank, which is again in my drum room. And then I've got 3 to 8 outputs on my RME Fireface. The reason I don't have 1 and 2 there is because those are going to my main monitor speakers. And those, the first 2 here, are going to this dual M460A mic preamp from Wardbeck Systems. It's a vintage mic preamp that's been racked. There's only 50 pairs in the world like these. They are freaking incredible. I've got a couple of insert points just to the EQs on these channels, and then I've got a couple of DBX 160 XTs down here at the bottom, and I'm using those for kick and a few other things just so I can patch in. Now, the TTs are interesting. I definitely recommend getting a couple of these cables, XLR to TT. That way you can patch a microphone directly into your preamp from the front panel here. That's what I got going on right here. I've got this SM7 plugged into my Great River MP to NV, and if we follow the trace over to the next bank, the output is going into my distressor. This is my go-to channel. This is my #1 channel. And that's the thing, when you set up a Patchbay, you need to plan out exactly what's going to run into what and make the most common connections. So in this case, I've got my Great River going to my distressor and to my SA2A, and I've got my Focusrite Reds going right into the SSLs, and I've got a couple of extra outputs on my RME Fireface going down to the DBX 160s. And that's working out pretty well so far. I might want to tweak it. That's the wonderful thing about Patchbays is once you get something hooked up and put all that effort, you realize, hey, I might be able to do that better. But the one thing I love about the Redco is the fact I can change that. A lot of the TT style Patchbays are actually solder joints on the back, so you're talking a massive amount of work. And if you want to change things, that's even more work to do. So having the DB25 connectors is a major bonus because it just allows for quick connections. Flawless, quick connection. You don't have to worry about a bad solder joint or anything like that. All right, so the one thing I got to bring up is normaling. I already tried it and I patched it to the wrong spot and cut my voice off. So all normaling means is where the signal is broken when you patch in. There are 3 main types. There's fully normal, half normal, and then isolated. Fully normal system means you patch in anywhere, top row or bottom, it breaks the top to bottom connection. Whereas on a half normal system, which what this is set to right now, if I plug into the bottom, let's say this SA2A here, and I want to take that from a different preamp, I can do that. But this signal is still going to go down here to that input as well. I'm just jumping that off there. That's great for what's creating a mult. So if I want to take, say, the output of my Great River MP to Envy, which is I'm doing right here, and I'm plugged in and I want to put that into a different compressor, that's great. And I'm doing that. I've still got my original connection, and I've just created another one, so I can record a second track with, say, a different compressor on it, or I can go straight into another input, and that creates a dry track. So I've got one compressed and one dry. Half normaling is a great way of doing things. To put it in the simplest terms, I wrote this down to make sure I get this right. Basically, on a half normal system, an output can go to more than one input, but an input can only have one connection. That way you don't have, 3 different signal sources going to a single input and you blow your system up. Makes a lot of sense. Now, on an isolated system, there is no top to bottom connection at all. That's if you just want to bring compressor or EQ or something like that, the inputs and outputs right to the front and have them work as they would on the back, so there aren't any permanent connections made. It really depends on how you want to set your system up. I'm really digging this way right now with the half normal system and signal flowing from top to bottom. It just saves a lot of freaking grief. So why a Patchbay? Besides the fact I've got too much freaking gear here and it's very difficult to get to, you can do some crazy stuff. You can do some really interesting connections. I can take, let's say here, I'm going to pull up this track from the Aquabats that I've been playing with. It's available in Pro Mix Academy, by the way. So if I want to throw, say, let's pull up the old RIA insert here and see where I'm going here. Yeah, we're analog 7. Oh, that's the kick. Okay, so let's throw a compressor on that kick. That's Army 7 to my first DBX compressor down here. And we're gonna put this on. Good shot of this. So yeah, we're using an analog compressor there. My good friend Warren Hewitt over at Produce Like a Pro really recommended the DBX 160 XTs for kick compression, that is. Apparently they're pretty awesome, and I gotta admit, I'm really liking how this sounds. It's pretty neat. I'm gonna experiment with that some more. But we're gonna also run channel 8 here out into the SA2A, which is that tube opto compressor from Stem Audio, and this thing is just wicked. Check this out. So here's uncompressed, and hit the old reinsert. It just really smacks the crap out of that snare. Very cool stuff. Really love that. Very gentle, and you can get really aggressive with it. We were strangers and we were pilgrims, role models of the family man. That's dedicated to all you guys who always ask, do you ever do anything but metal? Yes, I do. Actually, that track's a lot of fun. Definitely check it out. Okay, for a quick recap, a Patchbay is there to bring all the connections on the back of your equipment to the front in an easy to access way. Connections run output to input, top to bottom. You can split the connections using what's called half normal. And I highly recommend getting a DB25 system because it will save you a lot of nightmares, especially when it comes to soldering. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you have any more suggestions for tutorial videos, leave those as well. And if you are still confused about normaling, hit the rewind button and check that spot out where I explain it one more time. Believe me, it does make sense. If you found the video useful, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and tell your friends, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching. Take it easy.